All right, thanks everyone. We'll make a start. And welcome to the Nillumbik Shire Council Ordinary Council meeting today, Tuesday 29th of June at 7 o'clock or shortly after. Members of the public are advised that the meeting will be live streamed and recorded, and the live stream and video recording will be made publicly available on YouTube and Council's website. Nillumbik Shire Council acknowledges the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people who are the traditional custodians of this land. We'd also like to pay respect to the elders both past and present and extend that respect to other First Nations peoples present. Councillor Ben Ramshran is going to do the Good Governance Pledge.
As councillors, we are mindful of our civic responsibilities and obligations. We pledge to take them seriously and to carry them out with diligence and integrity. We know the decisions we take will affect the people and environment of Nillumbik now and in the future. We undertake, therefore, to make sound and principled decisions of lasting value in a spirit of fairness and for the good of all. We also pledge to serve the needs and well-being of the community and the environment in an open and honest manner and to the best of our abilities.
Thanks, Councillor Ramshran. I'd like to invite Reverend Dr. Tim Stringer forward. Pastor Tim's going to do a prayer for us. Tim's been pastor of the Calvary Lutheran Church, Greensborough and Thomastown, since January 2014. The parish has members from Gladstone Park through to Doncaster East and from Seymour and Whittlesea to Ivanhoe. They are part of the Lutheran Church of Australia and New Zealand. Pastor Tim sits on the church board of the LCANZ and the District Church Council of Victoria and Tasmania District of LCANZ. Last year he completed his Doctor of Ministry Studies. His thesis research was in online worship. Ironically, the graduation ceremony was also conducted online. The Calvary congregation owns a 20-unit independent living retirement village and has community groups utilising the church facilities throughout the week. Members contribute to the Diamond Valley Food Share and other areas of need within the community. They are a diverse community with many different countries of origin and enjoy this cross-cultural mix in our times of worship and fellowship. Thanks, Tim.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for these people gathered here tonight to do the governance tasks of this Shire. We thank you for the gifts and abilities and talents assembled here tonight. We commit them to your care and your guidance as they make these weighty decisions that are on the agenda before them tonight, that will affect the people of this Shire in various ways. Lord, we ask you to bless them and all that they will do, all that they will say, for the good of the people of this Shire. We also pray for the people of the Shire that they would receive the decisions made tonight in good cheer, and that we as a community here in Nillumbik would thrive for your glory and for our good. Amen.
Thank you, Tim. Apologies next, and Councillor Eyre has a motion.
That Council approves a leave of absence for Councillor Natalie Duffy from Tuesday the 29th of June 2021 to return Tuesday the 20th of July 2021.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ramshran. Councillor Eyre, do you wish to speak?
No, only to wish her well.
I'd also like to wish Councillor Duffy well. It's not her, definitely not her choice to go on leave. It's a very unfortunate situation, and I think we should support her however we can. And she definitely wants to keep doing her work as a councillor in whatever capacity she can while she's on official leave. Yeah, so I extend my thoughts to her, and yeah, let's hope she can come back after the month is up and get back onto her regular duties.
Any other councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Egan.
Thank you, Mayor. And the rest of the council. So, all sort of sitting here, we're all wishing. As mentioned, her issue. Yes, I thought we had a problem there. Thank you. Didn't sound right. That's better. I spoke to her the day before yesterday, and she was pretty down and pretty miserable. Some of the side effects are pretty horrific. So, all the best, Natalie. I know you'll be listening. We're all praying for you. Thank you.
All right, councillors, we'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? It's unanimous. The next is to do with Queen's Birthday 2021 honours list. So it was great yet again to see members of our community being recognised for their achievements in the recent Queen's Birthday honours list. And tonight I'd like to acknowledge them and their achievements. So the following Nillumbik residents were appointed members of the Order of Australia, AM, in the General Division. And there were two, and they were Dr. Ian Baldwin for significant service to critical care nursing and to medical research, and Associate Professor Edwina Wright for significant service to medicine and research, notably for people living with HIV/AIDS. And the following two people were awarded the Medal of the Order of Australia, or OAM, in the General Division. Deborah Halpin for service to the arts, and Deborah's artwork is certainly well known to most people in the Shire, and certainly Queen of the Shire at North Warrandyte on the main road there. Pamela Vardy also got an OAM for service to horticulture and radio media. So I'd like to commend each of them for their dedication, service and achievement of excellence in their respective fields. They embody the Nillumbik ethos of service, diligence, commitment, and above all, serving the broader community. Thank you. Sporting presentations. We've had one sporting presentation in the last few weeks, and it's Ali Brooks of Alice Ward, which I represent. Ali's not here tonight. She's already actually been away, but she received $150 as a contribution for being selected to represent Victoria at the Australian Track and Field Championships in Sydney. So Nillumbik Shire Council wishes Ali every success with her future sporting pursuits. The next agenda item is the confirmation of minutes, and I'm looking for a motion. Councillor Payne.
Yes, happy to move that motion. That the minutes of the council meeting held on Tuesday 25th of May 2021 be confirmed as per attachment 1.
Thanks, Councillor Payne. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Eyre. No one wishing to speak? We'll put that motion to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. Unanimous. Disclosure of conflicts of interest. Councillor Ramcharan.
So I just wanted to disclose that I have been involved with Nillumbik Climate Emergency Action Team in the past, and they're presenting a petition to us today, which is the next item on the agenda. I've been advised that this is not a formal conflict of interest, so I have nothing to declare, but I do want to just disclose my involvement with that group. I retired from the group at the start of the council election in order to retain my independence, and I feel that I'll be able to make an independent decision on the motion before us today.
Thanks, Councillor Ramcharan. Great you had the opportunity at 26 to retire from something. I'm still looking forward to it. On to petitions, and we have a recommendation, Councillor Payne.
Yes, I'd like to move the motion that we receive the petition, and the recommendation is as follows: that Council 1 receives and notes the petition requesting Council to vote on a motion to declare a state of climate emergency in accordance with the Governance Rule Meeting Procedure. 2, refers this petition to the Director of Operations and Infrastructure for investigation and response. And 3, notes officers will advise the petition organiser and councillors of the outcome.
Thanks, Councillor Payne. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Eyre. Councillor Payne, you wish to speak to the motion?
I think it's pretty self-evident that climate change and its effects are very much core to the current council plan. I thank the team for being here and presenting the petition, and it's been the topic of robust discussion amongst councillors.
Thanks, Councillor Payne. Councillor Eyre.
Only to add that to put together a petition and to go out and into the community and speak to them and talk about the issue at hand is not only time consuming, but it evokes passion and all different things. So thank you for all the work that not only you ladies have done, but for other community members who put together petitions as well. It's great to see such a passionate community.
Thanks, Councillor. Anyone else wishing to speak? Councillor Amtran.
Yeah, look, I'd just like to thank the petitioners. Having been involved in the past, I have seen the enormous amount of work that went in on the ground to get that petition to the level of signatures that it has. So, yeah, well done to everyone involved. Look, in terms of a climate emergency declaration, I think I've made it clear that that's something I personally support, and it's something we'll discuss as a council going forward to make a decision about whether that's a route we want to go down. I do feel it needs to be part of a broader climate action plan. I feel the danger of having a declaration on its own is that you can declare a climate emergency, wash your hands and say, well done, we've done the job, and not actually do anything. A climate emergency really needs to form the foundation of strong action on climate change, and that's why I really think it needs to be done at the same time as a strong plan to actually fulfill what we feel is our duty in that emergency situation. So yeah, looking forward to see where the discussions go. I think we'll definitely continue to have robust discussions around it, and yeah, lots of reasons why we should, other reasons why we shouldn't, and yeah, looking forward to see what we end up coming up with in the climate action plan.
Thanks, Councillor Amtran. Any other councillor wishing to speak? I'll put the motion to the vote, and it's all in favour. It's unanimous. Next on the agenda is questions from the gallery, and I have a number of questions. Alexander Collum, who's here tonight, has asked the following questions. The first one is, will council be taking some of its meetings on the road across the Shire in the coming year, as most recently occurred during Councillor Egan's term as Mayor? Alexander, taking council meetings back on the road is an option we will consider over the course of this council term. Importantly, council moved to live streaming all its council and committee meetings, ensuring our community can tune in at any time and even re-watch at any point of the meeting whenever they have access. Alexander's second question is, Banyule Council recently held its fourth youth summit, bringing together 100 young people from across its municipality for a day of workshops. Banyule's Youth Summit model has proven to be highly successful in identifying and addressing the needs of local youth. Will Nillumbik Council investigate its own youth summit to bring together young people from across the Shire to complement the existing work of the Youth Council? Alexander, Council's youth engagement approach has been co-designed by the Youth Council over the past few months with support of officers and councillors, particularly Councillor Amtran. Through this process, the Youth Council have made the decision to develop a survey that will allow the young people of Nillumbik to have their say. The survey is designed to capture a wide range of views, ideas and perspectives that are valuable to learn more about the needs and wants of local young people. The results will inform Nillumbik's 4-year youth strategy and action plan that will be launched at the end of the year. The survey is currently open and closes Sunday, the 18th of July. Got a couple of questions from Moira Deeming, and Moira's asked, question 1, under Victorian law, is it legal for local government councils to provide sex-based / targeted services and facilities separately to gender identity-based / targeted services and facilities? For example, can we legally put signs on a set of public toilets declaring that one is for biological males, in brackets including males with an intersex condition, close brackets, one is for biological females, and in brackets including biological females with an intersex condition, close brackets, and one is for people with transgender identities, and in brackets of any biological sex. And question 2, if not, why not? So Moira, public toilets are a Class 10A building under the National Construction Code. That's formerly the Building Code of Australia. That is the law that governs their construction and design in Victoria. These amenities are categorised as unisex, female or male. Any individual self-selects whichever, if any, of these amenities they choose to use. We've received a number of questions in relation to the Eltham Area Community Hospital. I'll read all of the questions to provide a single response. The first question is from Carol Doherty, and that is, what form of community consultation will occur to fully inform the community of the decision made by the VHBA, and that's the Victorian Health Building Authority, on their preferred location of the Eltham Area Community Hospital? And the second question is, when will Council inform residents that the amphitheatre, recently rezoned to public park and recreation zone at Civic Drive, Greensborough, is the intended location of the Eltham Area Community Hospital? There's also a question from Dr. Svetlana Rizvik, and she's the president of Friends of Apollo Parkways, and she asked the following question: when will Nillumbik Shire Council share the site selection criteria and evaluation methodology from the Victorian Health Building Authority with Nillumbik residents so they can be fully informed on the proposed location of the Eltham Area Community Hospital? So the response to the above three questions is Council is currently in discussions with the Victorian Health Building Authority about their preferred site for the Eltham Area Community Hospital, and they have requested that we do not comment further at this stage. Council understands the community interest in this matter and will provide further information in due course. And there's a second question from Svetlana. What is the Nillumbik Shire Council's preferred location for the Eltham Area Community Hospital? And the response, Svetlana, is that Council is yet to adopt a position on a preferred location for the Eltham Area Community Hospital. So there are all the questions, councillors, and we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the Advisory Committee report. And I'm looking for a motion. Councillor Eyre.
Thank you, Mayor. That the minutes of the Advisory Committee meetings be noted as per attachment 1.
Thank you, Councillor Eyre. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Payne. Councillor Eyre, if you wish to speak.
Just briefly, just to say that I'm pretty excited about one of the outcomes that's coming out of the Positive Ageing Committee, and I think that the community would also like to hear that they've got a subcommittee working on dementia, so for those in the community who are suffering from dementia and their carers, but also about communicating with older residents. So we've got 2 subcommittees working on those, and I know that a lot of community members have mentioned about communication from council, so I think this is a really good working group.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. Councillor Payne? Anyone else wishing to speak? We'll put that motion to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimously carried. The next item on the agenda is the mayoral and council allowances review, and looking for a motion from Councillor Payne.
Happy to put that motion forward, yes indeed. Moving the motion that Council, having reviewed the mayoral and council allowances, sets the allowances at the existing levels as follows. A, mayoral allowance $81,204. B, council allowance $26,245.
Thank you, Councillor Payne. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ramcharan. Councillor Payne, you wish to speak?
No. Nope.
Councillor Ramcharan, anyone wishing to speak? We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimously carried. Next on the agenda is the amended road management plan. Looking for a motion. Councillor Ramcharan.
Yes, I'd like to move that Council adopts the Road Management Plan 2021 as shown in Attachment 1, advises all submitters of the adopted Road Management Plan 2021 and publishes the adopted Road Management Plan 2021 on the Council website.
Thanks, Councillor Ramcharan. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Eyre. Thank you. Councillor Ramcharan.
Yeah, look, I understand there's there are a lot of people in the community who want a lot done on their roads. I've heard from people that, that there are some people out there who feel that they live on rural roads that aren't well kept, and that they want more work done on them. And we got a lot of submissions on that topic as well. Unfortunately, those submissions were out of scope of the road management plan. But I just wanted to reassure everyone that we have kept them, and they will be referred back to when we do other work in this area. And I'm well aware that one thing the community wants is better maintenance of rural roads. I'm really happy to see that none of our service levels have gone down in this review of the road management plan. And in fact, we've made two small improvements. So we're going to be having more night inspections of roads, and also quicker response times for damaged footpaths. There have been a few other very exciting changes to the document, such as document and tables updated to meet the new Nillumbik branding, which is riveting stuff. But apart from that, no other important changes, and we've seen no reduction in service levels. And just to reassure everybody once again that we have kept those submissions, and they will be referred back to when we do future work on road maintenance. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Entrin. Councillor Eyre, wish to speak? Any other councillor wishing to speak? We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? And it's carried unanimously. And we'll move on to the next item, which is a Revenue and Rating Plan 2021 to 2025. Looking for a motion, and we have Councillor Entrin.
Yes, I'd like to move that Council 1, having considered the submissions received, adopts the Revenue and Rating Plan 2021 to 2025 in Attachment 1, and 2, authorises the Chief Executive Officer to give public notice of the decision to adopt the Revenue and Rating Plan 2021 to 2025.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Payne. Back to you, Councillor Entrin.
Look, nothing too exciting here. It's a document we've been required to produce by the state government. It really just sort of sets the scene and talks about the circumstance we're already in regards to revenue and rating, and yeah, happy to be moving it.
Or any councillor wishing to speak? Sorry, Councillor Eyre.
Thank you, Mayor. This revenue and rating plan also emphasises the need for grant funding, which has huge benefits for our community. And we look at things like infrastructure projects or service level delivered for the community. So it's an important document. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. Take it no other councillor wishes to speak to the motion. We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimously carried. Next is a financial hardship policy. Looking for a motion. Councillor Stockman.
Yes, I'd like to move that the council endorses the financial hardship policy as per Attachment 1.
Thank you, Councillor Stockman. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Eyre. Councillor Stockman, you wish to speak?
Yeah, just the temporary policy had finished, expired, so there was a need to continue. And I don't think too many people would debate that there's still a case to look at hardship policy.
Thanks, Councillor Stockman. Councillor Eyre.
Thank you, Mayor. So basically we're going back to the original policy before the temporary suspension, which was due to COVID. And one of the areas that I'd like to point out is that it's allowing residents to still come and speak to council officers about rates, but it puts in there that we look at financial planning to support community members to get financial planning alongside working on their rates.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. Any other councillor wishing to speak? We'll put that motion to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. The next is the policy procurement update. And Councillor Entrin.
Yes, I'd like to move that Council 1 adopts the procurement policy in Attachment 1. 2, makes the procurement policy available for public inspection on Council's website. 3, senior officers across the organisation undertake key development of key undertake development of key sustainability objectives and key performance indicators to support the key principles of economic, social and environmental sustainability in accordance with Section 9 of the Local Government Act 2020. And 4, officers report to Council within 12 months of the date of this report with an outline of the key draft sustainability objectives and key performance indicators.
Thanks, Councillor Entrin. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Payne. Back to you, Councillor Entrin, if you wish to speak.
Yeah, look, firstly, I'd just like to thank the Northern Councils Alliance for helping us to draft the procurement policy. So under the new Local Government Act, we actually have to have sort of this blanket procurement policy across the entire region of councils, and we're in the Northern region, so we get the Northern region of councils procurement policy. So it's been a very collaborative effort to draft this. But what we can do is we can add appendices to that policy which are specific to Nillumbik. So what this motion does is it allows the procurement policy to be passed now, and it sets us on a path to develop some sustainability and procurement guidelines, which will go in an appendix to the policy. So those sustainability and procurement guidelines will help us take environmental, social and economic factors into consideration when choosing a tenderer. So the important thing with the tender policy is it is the vehicle, so this isn't a catch-all. We still do need to consider what we're actually going out and buying, but in terms of when we've decided to buy something, the procurement policy will guide us in terms of assessing an applicant on how much waste do you produce in your operations, how are you recycling that, what level of recycled materials are you using, what measures are you taking to reduce your carbon emissions. We can also look at other social factors such as trying to employ more First Nations organisations, and also ensuring that tenderers have fairness in their hiring practices and that we're not contributing to modern slavery, making sure that women and LGBT people and people of other minority groups are employed and treated well by those organisations. And it really means that we can sort of look at ourselves holistically, and not only are we acting ethically as an organisation, but the people we work with are also held to similar standards, and that's something that we can do through the procurement policy. So I'm really looking forward to developing that appendix and getting that into place so we can really have some confidence that the people we're employing are doing a good job, not just for what we've contracted them to do, but also for the environment and the community as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Entrin. Any other councillor wishing to speak? I'll put that motion to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. The next item on the agenda is the Wattle Glen Public Realm Framework Project. Proposed first round of public consultation. Councillor Egan.
Still not working. As per the papers, but with an exception, with an addition of an extra dot point in the actual report at point 12. So to give councillors a head up of why I want to do this, in point 10, one of the objectives is to enhance pedestrian and cycling links between key destinations. This particular destination, the actual area, is the only link between the Diamond Creek Trail and the Green Wedge Trail in Wattle Glen, just near Pepper's Paddocks. So any trail links need to factor in horse riders too, because horse riders are members of both those trails. So in the report, I would like to include provide for a safe off-road shared trail connection between the Diamond Creek Trail at Wilson Road and the start of the Green Wedge Trail at Pepper's Paddock, Wattle Glen. So I think staff are putting it up there. So every other group's been mentioned except for the horses, and they are in both these trails. So that's the only addition I'd like to make to the article recommendation. I'll talk to it in a moment.
We'll just wait a moment while the rest of that motion is typed on the screen. Is that off-road shared trail?
Yes. Well, it's a safe off-road shared trail. Although it probably isn't technically, because it's just to get across the road from one trail to the other. So it's on the road.
So it's road. that's top, correct? Yep.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Councillor Egan. Do we have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Eyre. Thank you, Councillor Egan.
Thank you, Mayor. So I've got screens up here everywhere. So the indicative study area for this public realm framework is the Wattle Glen area, specifically Pepper's Paddock. You've got the general store, the road there. It even encompasses the school, the station, the sporting reserve. It's quite a large bit, and obviously we've got the nearly completed Diamond Creek Trail going through the middle, but you've also got the beginning of the Greenwich Trail, and for those who aren't familiar with it, it actually goes a long way. It goes all the way up to Kinglake, it breaks off, it goes over to Healesville, so it would be a shame. It's virtually a T intersection, we just need to join the T up. And it also has the community park as well, the general school, we've got the primary school, there's a whole range of other facilities. The objectives, one in particular which I'm referring to, are to enhance pedestrian and cycling links between key destinations, and it's the very first objective in point 10. And if you keep reading down through the report, you'll get to point 18. So a lot of the projects that the state government are undertaking in Nillumbik at the moment, there are three in particular that relate to this. One is duplicating much of the track between Diamond Creek and Wattle Glen railway stations. It's also providing for additional commuter parking for Wattle Glen and locating an additional substation. So this all speaks to that, and we need, with everything that's going on there, we need safe crossing for not just horse riders obviously, but for pedestrians and cyclists, all abilities just to get across that road, because obviously it's going to increase. That's about all I wanted to say in it, except that it's a great project and I think it'll make that whole area much, much safer. We've got major issues with the school crossing in the Wattle Glen side, so I know that's quite high in the priorities. It goes out for consultation quite soon actually, the middle of July to the 9th of August, so I'd love everybody in that area to put in as many submissions as they can on what they think their priorities are so that we can cover it all off. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Egan. Councillor Eyre? Councillor Amtran?
I'd like to move an amendment to the motion, just ever so slightly. I'd like to move that we just insert the wording, and noting that council will consider the provision. So, yeah. Thanks, Councillor Egan. Do I speak to that now, or?
Well, no, we'll just, if the mover and the seconder are happy to change the motion, we don't need to go through an amendment process. You comfortable with that change, Councillor Egan? And yep. Councillor Eyre, you comfortable with? Yeah. So you just forget the amendment, Councillor Amtran, and speak to the motion if you like.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'll just pull my speaking notes up because I've lost them now. There they are. Look, I'm really excited to see this project for Wattle Glen. I think it'll be a really positive thing, and I think there are plenty of really engaged residents there who really love where they live and want to see a positive way forward for the area. These township plans are really fantastic. They take all the community's views on board, and they put together a plan that the whole community can share and be really excited about. And while they often take a long, long time to come to fruition, what they do is they give us a direction, so when grant funding comes up, we can pull something out of the plan and say, yep, let's do this, and makes it much easier to just apply for those grants. So it's a really positive thing. I'd definitely like to get some of these plans done for my ward, particularly in areas like Research and North Warrandyte, which I think are crying out for them. And I think the one other thing to note here is that this plan will not move the urban growth boundary. A public realm framework is not capable of talking about the urban growth boundary, so that will stay where it is. It won't move, and that means that we won't see inappropriate development encroaching on some of the really beautiful parts of Wattle Glen.
Thanks, Councillor Antrim. Any other councillor wishing to speak? Look, I'll just certainly endorse the comments of councillors so far. I think it's important to reinforce that point, as you have, Councillor Antrim, that it is about the public realm. So when we talk about public realm, we're talking about improvements to footpaths, trails, road reserves and roads, parkland and public signage, trying to improve localities' accessibility, sense of place and amenity. Its connections between the railway station, Wilson Road, the Sporting Reserve there, the Diamond Creek Trail, Pepper's Paddock, Wattle Glen General Store, Wattle Glen Primary School, CFA building and tennis courts. There's not a heap of stuff in Wattle Glen, but what's there we want to be able to be made accessible, and kids being able to get to school safely and walk around is a major aim. And we're not looking at any, as the council has said, we're not looking at any changes to the planning provisions at all. So happy to put the motion to the vote. Councillors, all those in favour? And it's carried unanimously. Next on the agenda is the Nillumbik Heritage Review, and Councillor Payne has a motion.
Yes, I would like to move the motion that Council 1 adopts the final draft citations in Attachment 1 for Stage A of the Nillumbik Heritage Review. 2, adopts the priority lists for Stage B of the Nillumbik Heritage Review in Attachment 2. And 3, publishes the final draft citations in Attachment 1 for Stage A of the Nillumbik Heritage Review on Council's website.
Thank you, Councillor Payne. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Antrim. Councillor Payne.
I don't have much to say on this except to say I want to thank Rosa and the planning and community safety team. This is all about protecting the future by protecting the past and keeping what we have. And it takes a lot of work for these citations, and I thank the team for all the work they've done, and commend Stage B and getting these final draft citations finalised. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Payne. Councillor Antrim.
Look, I'm really pleased to see this happening. I'd also like to thank Rosa and her whole team for putting this together. And just to note that the next steps in this process, we're going to... so tonight we're adopting the citations that have been developed for Stage A of the review, and we're also about to start developing citations for Stage B. So what that means is hopefully in November, that's the projected timeline, we'll have citations ready for all of those properties. That does include the Eltham War Memorial buildings, so the citations for that are already done and they're ready to go. And then once we reach November and the citations for Stage B are done, we will begin the process of a planning scheme amendment to apply them to all of those properties, and that's the point where we'll actually go out to public consultation. I understand some of these are going to be really well accepted by the community, others are a little bit more controversial, and during that planning scheme amendment process, that's when we will be able to discuss that in more detail and take everybody's views on board. So I think one thing that the community really is excited about is the War Memorial buildings. More locally for me in my ward, I'm excited to see that we've got the Christmas Hill War Memorial cenotaph and the area around it, so that's going to be a really good thing to have there. And there are also a whole range of others, lots in North Warrandyte and all across my ward and the rest of Nillumbik. So yeah, really excited to see the heritage overlays applied so we can protect those special areas.
Thanks, Councillor Antrim. Any other councillor wishing to speak? I'll just sort of say that heritage citations, I find them absolutely fascinating. And there's 570 pages of heritage citations now attached to this meeting agenda, which is well worth local people having a good look through. It's fascinating. So there's a lot of history out there that we're not aware of, and reading these documents, I just know I'm constantly very pleased by buildings in Diamond Creek and other older buildings, and some not so old, including the Eltham Library, for instance, has got a heritage citation on, which was put on at, it's only a few years old when it was put on, but it's actually to highlight the significance in a cultural and heritage sense of buildings throughout the Shire. So they don't necessarily have to be, very, very old. That's not a clear reason for this work being done, but they're important to the local community, and it's significant in a historical context. So I was just sort of thinking, I often look at some buildings around the Shire and wonder whether or not a heritage overlay has been applied, and over my time on council, I've got the nous to be able to get on VicMap and search for property parcels and see where the heritage overlays apply, and from then I can search for the heritage citation and find a bit about the building. A lot of the buildings are private property. They're not necessarily public buildings, and a lot in this list are indeed private property. So we do expect a number to be not supported by the property owners, but we'll go through that process. So happy to put the motion now to the vote. All those in favour? And it's carried unanimously. We'll move on to the next item, councillors, which is phasing out of single-use plastics. And Councillor Eyre has a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The recommendation that Council supports the Victorian Government's ban on certain single-use plastic items to be implemented in February 2023 phases out single-use plastics included in the Victorian Government's ban at council facilities and events ahead of the implementation of the ban, and continues to seek opportunities for other types of single-use plastics to be phased out. Point 3, supports the Nillumbik community to phase out single-use plastics through targeted education programs and promotion of local alternatives. And 4, thanks the petitioners and advises the petition organiser of this resolution.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Amtran. Back to you, Councillor Eyre, if you wish to speak.
Yes, thank you. We have a petition asking, or we received a petition asking that Council pursue a policy to phase out single-use plastics with 186 written signatures and a further 18 online. And we thank our community for this petition. We received the petition back in December 2019, and before we could action it, COVID hit and single-use items became a safety measure. We acknowledge the state government has banned single-use plastic bags and is now bringing in a ban by Feb 2023 in a range of other single-use plastic items for sale or supply in Victoria, including straws, cutlery, plates, drink stirrers, expanded polystyrene food and drink containers, and cotton bud sticks, which is an interesting one, but these are flushed down the toilets and end up as litter in the Werribee sewage treatment plant. So don't use or flush cotton buds. Council has been working already to replace these items with more sustainable options in our own facilities and at events well ahead of the state government ban. We've worked with groups holding events at council facilities to include waste reduction activities such as the Eltham Festival becoming balloon-free, and supported trials of washable and reusable food and drink containers at the Eltham Jazz Festival and the Come Together Festival. So Council will get ahead of the state government ban in its own operations and will work with the whole community, e.g. residents, businesses, schools, community groups, so the whole community, to do the same. We also want to get ahead of a range of single-use plastics that will be banned to help the community both avoid single-use items and have the option of a more sustainable alternative. So thank you for the original petition back in December 2019, and to also let them know of the outcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Ramcharan, you should speak.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with the outcome we've got here. So we'll be phasing out single-use plastics from our operations and our facilities, which is really exciting. I think I've been to a number of council events where we've had plastic bottles and other types of plastic that we could really do without, and so we're going to start phasing them out. Might take some time, but it's going to be really positive, and it means that we're leading the way and supporting the Victorian government's plastic ban by sort of taking those initial measures now and showing that it can be done. And also we'll supporting the community, and in doing that we can help people to adjust to the new rules as they come in. So that'll include working with businesses and schools, promoting education programs, and that way we can reduce the amount of single-use plastic use before the ban comes in, and really help the community with that transition. So it's a really positive outcome, and I'd like to thank the petitioners for helping to make this happen. And looking forward to going to a council event sometime in the near future and seeing no plastic. It'll be a very, very pleasing thing to see.
Thank you, Councillor Ramcharan. Any other councillor wishing to speak? We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Getting better at saying that word. I do have trouble with that word. Unanimous. It's a unanimous resolution. I'll try that. It's unanimous. I'll go home and practice more tonight. We're on to consideration of the Planning Panel report for Nillumbik Amendment C129. That's removal of the EAO from various parcels in Plenty. Councillor Stockman.
Thanks, Mayor. And I'd like to move the motion that Council accepts the officer's recommendation that Council, 1, notes the recommendation of the Planning Panel that Amendment C129 to the Nillumbik Planning Scheme be adopted as exhibited. Number 2, adopts Amendment C129 to the Nillumbik Planning Scheme as exhibited, and then it submits it to the Minister for Planning for approval and gazettal. 3, writes to the owners of the land affected by the amendment and advise them, A, of Council's resolution on the 29th of June 2021 regarding Amendment C129, and B, that the conditions of the Statement of Environment Audit will contribute to be applied by the Section 173 Agreement to the Planning Environment Act 1987, which is applied to the land.
Thanks, Councillor Stockman. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Stockman. It's Councillor Ramcharan. Councillor Stockman, back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. And probably, you mentioned the word unanimously before. I think this whole council, we've got a lot of respect and confidence in each other and in our wards, and also in our officers in the EMT. And with this planning panel report, Amendment C129, I think it's a lot of confidence goes to our officers, and just accept their recommendations.
Thanks, Councillor Stockman. Councillor Ramcharan, do you wish to speak?
Yes, look, this is really just quite administrative, so we're not actually weakening any provisions in the planning scheme here. The environment audit overlay basically requires that an environmental audit is done on the land if somebody wants to do some work, and that audit has now been done. The outcomes have been put into a Section 173 agreement, which has been applied to the land. That agreement will stay with the land forever now, even if the land changes hands. So the conditions that have fallen out of this overlay have now been applied to the land. The overlay is not needed, and this motion is simply about tidying it up. So yeah, happy to support it.
Thanks, Councillor Ramcharan. Any other councillor wishing to speak? We'll put it to the motion. All in favour? And that resolution is unanimous. The next one, Councillor, is the Domestic Wastewater Management Plan and Sewer Reprioritisation.
Yep, I would like to move that. Very much so.
Councillor Payne.
And the recommendation is that Council notes the report detailing performance against the Year 2 Domestic Wastewater Management Plan actions as per Attachment 1.
Thanks, Councillor Payne. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Egan.
Well, you're seconding now. Yeah.
Back to you, Councillor Payne.
Look, I think this is going to be another unanimous motion right here. We are protecting the environment. This is about public health, so I do want to thank council officers, Rose from the team, Yarra Valley Water and stakeholders. I have actually spoken to some of the mainline sewage workers working in South Eltham at the moment, who tell me that they would be making faster progress if it weren't for the soil of Nillumbik. So, yeah, living up to its reputation. So well done.
Thanks, Councillor Payne. Councillor Egan, wish to speak? No. Any other councillor wishing to speak? We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. It's unanimous. Rental review, 35 Kangaroo Ground, St Andrews Road, Kangaroo Ground is the next agenda item. Councillors, and Councillor Ramcharan has a motion.
I'd like to move that Council 1 completes a deed of variation of lease for the Country Fire Authority at 35 Kangaroo Ground, St Andrews Road, Kangaroo Ground, to amend the rental amount from $30,000 per annum to $1 per annum peppercorn fee. B, leased area to only include the motor base and garage and front conference office room, exclusive use by CFA. C, shared use continues of the kitchen and toilet facilities within the premises. And D, use of the hall is no longer included under the leased arrangement as a shared use area. Council is able to manage and hire the hall at any time of the year. And 2, authorises Council's delegated officer to execute the deed of variation of lease for the Country Fire Authority at 35 Kangaroo Ground, St Andrews Road, Kangaroo Ground, once signed by CFA. And there's one more. And 3, notes March 2021 history of the Nillumbik Group of Fire Brigades Emergency Operations Centre and uploads to Council's website under the Minutes and Agendas page.
Thanks, Councillor Ramcharan. Looking for a seconder, Councillor Egan. Councillor Ramcharan.
Yeah, very happy to be moving this. The CFA keep us safe. I think we're all really grateful to have them and for the hard work they put in every single summer to keep us safe, to keep our homes safe and our loved ones as well, and the area where we live. So absolutely happy to be granting them a peppercorn rent for this so they can continue to operate in that centre. And I'm also really pleased that we've now got a community hall in St Andrews, which the community will be able to hire out and use for community events. So it's a really positive outcome all round. Great for the CFA, for the safety of us, and also for the community as well. So happy to be supporting the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Ramcharan. Councillor Egan?
I'm presuming you mean a hall in Kangaroo Ground, not St Andrews.
Did I say St Andrews?
Okay.
Kangaroo Ground have
That's
a community
okay.
hall.
I'm sure they're really good at sharing. I'm really pleased that this has finally been finalised. There's been a lot of angst out there in the community since the ICC sort of basically closed its doors and what was going to happen to the building, and I've lost track of the amount of emails, phone calls, people dropping in on my doorstep even during COVID because they were so upset about the loss of what they perceived to be the loss of this building. So I'm really pleased with a lot of work from staff, and I know staff and people within the CFA, they've got together and it's now going to be used in a different way, but still will look after all of the people in Nillumbik. And since originally when it was leased to the CFA, it was actually $2 per year. So that's in 1984. So they've now got a 50% reduction from 1984 to 2021. So it's now only $1 per year. So that's really wonderful. But as one of the groups in the community, and they're all volunteers, everybody has to remember, that look after us, they actually look after our very lives. I think this is a fantastic solution, as well as having a new community hall in Kangaroo Ground. So they're going to be, we'll still be looking after some of the maintenance in our particular bit or their particular bit of the building, but I know it will be used really, really well by the CFA in what they do best, and that is look after our continued safety all year round, by the way. Thank you. Very happy to second this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Egan. Any other councillor wishing to speak? Councillors, dot point 3, I've got a letter that when this process started, we were approached by the Nillumbik Group of Fire Brigades to have a meeting and set up this result. And they provide us with a bit of a history of the Emergency Operations Centre at Kangaroo Ground. I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes just reading what I can in the 3 minutes of that. It's a bit of a timeline on that building and Nillumbik Group. Nillumbik Group of Fire Brigades and Nillumbik Shire have a long history of cooperation and support when dealing with community safety issues. The construction, evolution and use of the Emergency Operations Centre in Ness Lane, Kangaroo Ground is a fine example of this unified approach. The Nillumbik Group of Fire Brigades is currently composed of brigades from 9 communities in the Shire: Christmas Hills, Eltham, Hurstbridge, Kangaroo Ground, North Warrandyte, Panton Hill, Research, St Andrews and Wattle Glen. Prior to boundary adjustments for both the Shire, which was Eltham Shire, and the CFA, the group was called the Lower Yarra Group and had 4 additional brigades from Kinglake and Kinglake West, South Warrandyte and Warrandyte. So in 1969, the Lower Yarra Group of Fire Brigade was formed. In 1971, a parcel of land bordering Ness Lane was loaned to the group by the Shire of Eltham and a prefabricated building relocated onto it by the group. An extension was later added when the Shire made another prefabricated building available. In 1983, the 1983 Ash Wednesday fires prompted a review of the emergency operational procedures and organisation within the group area, and the Shire of Eltham Municipal Disaster Planning Committee was formed in November 1984. This committee brought together all of the combating and support services within the Shire. The group officer and a deputy group officer were the CFA members of this committee. In 1985, the Wyanya Road fire in North Warrandyte heightened the need for CFA police and Shire SES coordination at one central location, and the group headquarters was modified to accommodate the 3 agencies into one small room. In June of 1985, the first of 4 Lower Yarra vans, another one was purchased in 1987, another one in 1990, and then a Mazda mobile comms van in 1995 was purchased with the financial assistance of the Volunteers Brigades and Shire of Eltham. In 1985, after a Shire-wide emergency service review, it was agreed that the Emergency Operations Centre was too small, and in November 1985, the Lower Yarra Group, with the Shire and Commonwealth government funding, sponsored the design and construction of a purpose-built Eltham Emergency Operations Centre. We moved to 1986. The Emergency Operations Centre building commenced in November 1986. Site preparation was carried out with machinery donated by a later group officer, and the building was constructed by 23 long-term unemployed workers, and they were from the Commonwealth Employment Project, and 2 trade supervisors, Dean Putting, later captain of Panton Hill Fire Brigade, and Mark Denton, lieutenant at Christmas Hills. Ross Henry of the Christmas Hills Fire Brigade was the architect. Bill Oakley from the Shire of Eltham was the project manager. The group provided a volunteer project manager in John Cowan, and it arranged more than 30 volunteer working bees with members from all over Lower Yarra Group brigades to provide specialist trade skills, as well as assisting in the construction of the mud brick walls. I'll just go on for another minute if I could. In 1987, the OSC building was completed in October 1987, and the Lower Yarra Group of Fire Brigades handed the building over to the Shire of Eltham. The group established its headquarters in one of the large areas at the western end of the building and housed the mobile communications van in the attached garage. We moved to 1988, and the OSC was opened on the 13th of February 1988. The group leased the headquarters garage and rooms for a notional fee, and it was a peppercorn lease. In the 1990s, the Emergency Operations Centre has undergone many changes, from 4 separate operations rooms to semi-open rooms to fully open plant operations. In the 1990s, CFA implemented pre-planned incident control centres throughout the state, and due to the unique risks associated with the Green Wedge area of Melbourne, including Eltham and Nillumbik Shire, the Operations Centre was converted into one of the first Level 3 incident control centres in the state. After the 2009 Black Saturday fires, CFA upgraded the facility and revised the leasing arrangements with the Shire. This included changes to the leasing arrangement Nillumbik Group had with the Shire, and in 2020, CFA no longer leases the Emergency Operations Centre. The Nillumbik Group of Fire Brigades is seeking to re-establish its lease of the garage and headquarter space for a notional peppercorn fee. So thanks, councillors, for that. We're going to let's read into the minutes now, and that'll that'll be a bit of history that we can keep, hopefully, in the system. If no other council wishes to speak, we'll put that motion to the vote. All those in favour? It is carried. A unanimous decision of council. Recreation Trails Advisory Committee term extension is the next item, and Councillor Egan.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'd like to recommend that Council extends the current Recreation Trails Advisory Committee term until the 30th of July 2023.
Thanks, Councillor Egan. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Stockman. Councillor Egan.
Yes, I'm really happy to put forward this motion. RTAC, as it's commonly known, has 11 members plus a chair and another councillor. And this particular group is incredibly diverse. We've got 2 Friends of or Landcare representatives, 2 horse riding reps, 2 cycling reps, 2 walking group reps and 2 general committee reps, 1 urban and 1 rural, and 1 person with a disability or advocate for people with a disability. So it just about covers off everybody that could possibly use a trail apart from a helicopter or a plane, I think. And we were having a chat about this pre-meeting, and it means that this term will end up being roughly 6 years. But this particular group, the advocacy and the work they've done, and I wasn't involved with them in the last term of council, so I'm new to this committee, but some of the work they've done has been quite extraordinary. And they only meet 4 times a year. They're halfway through a lot of projects, and they all want to see to fruition, some of them to completion. Just for example, the Diamond Creek Hurstbridge Trail is just one that comes to mind, and there's numerous other trails that they've been responsible for. And due to 2020, you can basically take a year off because of COVID. We actually had no RTAC meetings, so that really brings it back to 5, so it's not that extreme. They work extremely well together. They're all incredibly articulate. Everyone contributes. There's very rarely anyone missing, as staff will attest to. And it would be really remiss of me not to put this motion forward to extend their tenure at the late stage of these projects. And their knowledge is such that it would take an amazingly difficult amount of hours and time for new people to get up to speed to do the work that they've been doing. They've got lots of little subcommittees that they work at their own pace outside of the actual committee. So I'm really happy to commend and recommend that this term be extended to that time. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Egan. Councillor Stockman, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, I'll agree with that too, and obviously I'm seconding it, and I think the term should be increased. With this committee, it's an interesting one because the way it was run prior, they had 2 chairs to it, or they alternated. Councillor Ashton and Dumares used to alternate the chair, so I'm not sure if that's something that hasn't been broached or something perhaps we could do as well.
I've never heard about it.
Oh, okay, all right. Well,
happy to talk to you offline.
All right, yep, sure. But yeah, no, it's a great group, and I think at the moment, so many trails going on around the place with North East Link are putting in 26 kilometres of trail. Parks Victoria spending 154 million in trails around Melbourne, including 20 million on the Plenty River Trail, and Yan Yan Road Stage 2 is going to be a trail going right up there. So we're right onto it. And at the last meeting we just had last week, we're talking about the Aqueduct Trail and working with Banyule City Council and perhaps doing something good with them, and maybe involving Whittlesea with the any sort of cross trails there as well.
Thanks, Councillor Stockman. Any other councillor wishing to speak? We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? And it's carried. Unanimous. The next item is the tender report, contract 2021 to 35. It's a provision of annual supply for fencing services, and Councillor Amtran has.
I'd like to move that Council accept the tendered schedule of rates disclosed in Attachment 1 as submitted by the 3 preferred tenderers and enter into the following panel contract. Number 2021-035, title provision of annual supply for fencing services, term from the 1st of June 2021 to the 31st of May 2024, with an options of term extensions up to the 31st of May 2026.
As per the papers, Councillor Antrim.
As per the papers, I'm happy to move as per the papers.
Okay, thank
We'll
you.
save time.
Do we have a seconder?
And I'll read out the name of the tenderer afterwards.
Do we have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Stockman. Councillor Antrim.
Nothing too excited here, but we'll have 3 contractors that we can rely on for fencing needs. So, yeah, happy to support the motion.
Thanks, Councillor Ramtran. If no other councillors wishing to speak, I'll put the motion to the vote. It's all those in favour. It's carried. It's unanimous. And Councillor Ramtran, you can make the announcement.
Yeah, so I'd like to congratulate Webster Contracting Pty Ltd, KA Fencing Pty Ltd, and Melbourne Chain Wire Fencing. So congratulations to the 3 preferred tenderers who will be helping us with our fencing.
Thank you. The next on the agenda is the tender report contract 2021-76. It's the Arboricultural Consulting Service Planning. I understand Councillor Payne's jumping at the bit.
Champing at the bit to move the motion as per the papers.
Thank you, Councillor Payne. Do we have a seconder? Any discussion, Councillor Payne?
I just wanted to say that this, of course, is important to Greenwich Shire particularly. The Council Arborist has huge responsibility in making sure that the planning applications and the health of vegetation and trees in the Shire are at their best. And I look forward to working with council officers to make sure that we get the best that we can.
Thanks, Councillor Payne. Any other councillor wishing to speak? I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. Unanimous.
And
Next.
I think, do we read the...
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yes.
We have an announcement, Councillor Payne.
I would like to announce that the preferred tenderer is Homewood Consulting Proprietary Limited, and congratulations to them.
Thank you. The next tender report is contract 2021-57 at Sports Ground Maintenance Services. And Councillor Eyre has a motion.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I make the recommendation as per the papers.
Thank you, Councillor Eyre. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Stockman, thank you. Councillor Eyre?
Thank you. This is mainly about maintenance of our sporting club, not our sporting clubs, but the ovals and sporting areas. So this is not just for sporting clubs, but for general community too. And it covers mowing of the ovals and surrounds, pest and weed management, irrigation management, and specialist turf management. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. Any other councillor wishing? Councillor Stockman?
Yeah, no, I'd just like to say the importance to this, and being such an open space shire, it is very important, and they do a fantastic job so far, and looking forward to see who wins the tender.
Thanks, Councillor Stockman. Any other councillor wishing to speak? We'll put the motion to the vote. It's all those in favour. And it's carried. It's unanimous. And Councillor Eyre, you have an announcement.
Yes, I'd like to congratulate the preferred tenderer, Elite Turf Services. Congratulations.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. The next item is the tender report contract 2021 roadside verge mowing services. Councillor Amcharan.
I'll move it as per the papers this time, and I'll name the tenderer after we vote, if it passes.
Thanks, Councillor Amcharan. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Eyre. Councillor Amcharan.
So this is for roadside verge mowing. So that'll cover a range of things. It'll obviously help fulfil our duties under the road management plan. Also, in some way, it will help with fire prevention works, and hopefully, it'll also help keep some of those rural roads looking neater and more tidy, which is also important.
Thanks, Councillor Amcharan. Any other councillor wishing to speak? We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. It's unanimous. and Councillor Amtran with an announcement.
Yes, congratulations to Webster Contracting.
Thanks, Councillor Amtran. Next on the agenda is informal meetings of councillors' records. Looking for a motion, Councillor Eyre.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The recommendation that Council, in accordance with item 19 of Council's governance rules, meeting procedures, receives the informal meetings of councillors' records as per attachment 1 for the meetings held.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Egan. Councillor Eyre, do you wish to speak to the motion? Any other councillor wishing to speak? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. It's unanimous. Next on the agenda is a notice of motion. Councillor Richard Stockman has a notice of motion.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move a motion, and I'll give it to notice of motion 003/21, request to apply heritage overlay to 14 Browns Lane in Plenty. And I'd like to move that Council notes, number 1, notes the officers under delegation have requested the Minister for Planning to exercise the power under Section 24 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987 to prepare, adopt and approve an amendment to the Nillumbik Planning Scheme to apply the heritage overlay to 14 Browns Lane Plenty on interim basis. 2, request the Minister for Planning under Section 8A of the Planning and Environmental Act 1987 to authorise the preparation of an amendment to the Nillumbik Planning Scheme to apply the heritage overlay to 14 Browns Lane Plenty on a permanent basis. And 3, in relation to point 2 above, undertake public exhibition of the proposed planning scheme amendment should authorisation to apply the permanent control be granted.
Thanks, Councillor Stockman. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Eyre. Councillor Stockman.
Yes, moving this motion, so we've got information from a heritage consultant and also council officers have had a look all over this. It's a building or a house that goes back to 1929 and it does have a lot of significant heritage to it. It's also something that we want to put this in place. The owners of the land can come back to us. I was told that quite clearly, that I'd like to see if they present to us afterwards, but we need to protect this piece of land and protect heritage. Also, consultation, it's been a hard one for consultations happen quite quickly. I've gone there a couple of times and spoke to a few neighbours myself, but I believe the heritage consultant has actually put something in the wider area, just of the locals there. So there has been some consultation to this as well. There was one little part to it. One of the neighbours did tell me that I don't know, the father or something had passed away there, and there was some mice and some rats in the house. So I just hope that we can have a look at the house, and I'm not sure what happens to this next level, but just want to make sure that it's very transparent. That's all.
Thanks, Councillor Stockman. Anyone else wishing to speak to the motion? If not, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? And it's carried. It's unanimous. Next on the agenda is delegates report. And I suppose we could just mention that certainly myself and Councillor Stockman attended the Australian Local Government Association General Assembly in Canberra last week. Very, very beneficial conference and assembly. Lots of motions put. Most motions that were put by various councillors throughout the country were unanimously supported, believe it or not. There were a few contentious ones. One interesting one was the notion of having the same sort of COVID lockdown provisions right across the country, and it was a motion to put by one of the councillors that we remove the border type restrictions. That was not supported by West Australia, not at all. But the majority view was that the motion did get up, even though West Australia were not comfortable with that. But that was an interesting one. But yeah, a really good conference, lots of really good speakers, and well worthwhile. If there's no other delegates' reports, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Supplementary business, there are none. Confidential reports. So we do have one confidential report, and it is to do with the Montsalvat Agreement 2021 to 2024. It's a confidential item. Looking for a motion. We have Councillor Payne.
Yes, I'd like to move the motion that we close the public part of the meeting and move to confidential.
Thanks, Councillor Payne. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Egan, is there any discussion? That motion, we'll put it to the vote. It's all in favour, it's unanimous. I declare the public meeting now closed. Thank you. The one member of the gallery has left before being told or asked to leave. So thanks for coming, everyone online, and have a good night.